Bain Vabu, a brand new university learning experience in the heart of Mabu. The Gaelic Foundations program is a first-year university learning experience in partnership with Cape Breton University. Immerse yourself in community, delve into a rich and living culture, and learn about the world through the viewpoint of the Gaels as you begin your next learning journey. Classes begin September of 2023. Bain Vabu, we welcome you to an educational experience like no other. For more information, click your way over to benvabu.ca.
So these are the bagpipes, and to be more specific, the Great Highland bagpipes. There's a lot of different types of pipes in the world. Almost every region in Europe developed its own take on bagpipes. So these were what was developed in Scotland over centuries. One of the more recognizable pipes out there just because of their influence in the British Army. This is what you'll have seen in parades or at funerals and weddings. They're quite popular. I'll give you a little overview of how they work. Basically, you have a blowpipe that you blow into with a one-way valve at the end. So you fill up this bag as a reservoir, and then you force the air out with this elbow. And your whole aim is to keep the stream as constant as possible and the pressure as constant as possible. When you're forcing the air out, you force them out through the other pipes. These pipes that are on my shoulder are called drones, and they just produce that one long monotone note that you hear throughout the melody. And the longer one is a bass drone, so that'll produce a B flat in this case for this instrument. And then the tenor drones will produce the same note, but an octave higher. Then the melody comes out of this pipe called the chanter. And there's a number of holes on there. And inside the casing here is what we call the reed. And it's a double-bladed cane reed, much the same as an oboe reed. It has two tongues of cane. As the air passes through it, it vibrates and produces sound. And like any other woodwind, there's a bunch of holes on it, and the longer the sound has to travel down the pipe, the deeper the note, the lower the note is. So there's 9 notes in the pipe scale, so it's a little limited in that sense, and it's also limited as an instrument because there's only one volume, fairly loud, and you can't get louder, you can't get quieter, it's just one volume all the time. So to introduce dynamics into the music, we use a lot of gracing and ornamentation, and also to separate notes because you can't stop the melody. Once you're started, it's always playing melody. So to separate the notes, you use a lot of those gracings, and that gracing and ornamentation is something that really identifies pipe music. And that ornamentation, you still see it in the fiddle music and the music we know around here and in Scotland. It's informed a lot of the stylings that we use and the ornamentation that we use on the fiddle or any instrument.
And I'm Jen of Super Duper Soup. Began about 5 years ago. It started when one friend asked me to make a bowl of soup. We were both laid off. And the next week, more friends asked for more soup. And the next thing we know,
bing bang boom, we're working out of the Boys and Girls Club kitchen once a week doing deliveries. Did a trade show and it just went crazy from there. So we were like, we need to find our own space.
We're a small business, and when you start a small business, not really ever having been in this industry before, we had no idea what was involved.
You don't know what you don't know. Dealing with the East Coast Credit Union, it's just been so easy.
They're more than a bank. It's not every bank that knows your name. It's not every bank that comes and helps and brings you products that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, they know more than just our business. They know us and they know what we need. They're just a part of our team and they're there to help you. They want you to succeed.
They have a small business program and they get what small business is in Nova Scotia.
Community means everything. We feel very supported by not only the East Coast Credit Union, but our community in downtown Dartmouth as well. Building the relationship with East Coast Credit Union, I just know that going forward, they'll still be there for us. They'll continue to support us, not only as customers, but bringing us new products that will help us grow and continue to survive.
to our Wednesday night Ceilidh, and to hear it live at Bain Vabu. And I want to welcome Andrea Beaton and Mary Elizabeth MacInnis here for our Ceilidh, and lots of tunes tonight. That's what you're going to be hearing, and some of the great tunes that Andrea played there. I heard the Silver Bullet at the end, composed by Rosemary Poirier.
Yeah.
Which Andrea put on her Branches CD.
Good memory, Rodney.
And earlier on, a tune by Pat Chafe.
Yes.
At the start.
Stella's Trip to Kamloops.
Stella's Trip to Kamloops.
Yeah.
And Miss Lyle, Straths Bay, and amongst some other great tunes in there.
Some trad ones.
Some trad tunes, yeah. So beautiful stuff, and that's what you're in tune for tonight. Thought we'd take maybe a little bit of a different approach tonight. There might be some chatting, and I'll be asking perhaps Mary Elizabeth and Andrea some questions. And they are first cousins. Of course, Mary Elizabeth was a McMaster, and if that's their connection. Andrea's mother, Betty Lou, was also a McMaster, and thus being first cousins, as Andrea and I are first cousins on the other side, on her father's side. And but I thought we'd just start out with a couple of questions, and then we'll get right back into the tunes. But a lot of times people are wondering, you know, where musicians learned how to play and that sort of thing. So why don't we start off with Mary? Mary's a fiddler, piano player, a great step dancer as well. And what about the piano, Mary? Who taught you?
Well, I took lessons. I took from lessons. I started, I guess, first with Sister Donna Kelly. She was here for a number of years, and she was taking some lessons from Dad on the fiddle. And so she said in exchange she'd give me some lessons. So she'd come to the house, and I took lessons from her for a time, and then...
I didn't realize that.
That's pretty cute.
That's interesting. I had her as a teacher many years ago.
Yeah. And
I didn't know Buddy did much teaching.
Oh, he didn't, but you couldn't deny a sister.
Okay.
And we're sitting, this is in the old sister's sitting room.
Yeah.
So, and then Candy Lane, I took lessons from her also for a while, and Elaine Hogg in Hawkesbury. So I took lessons. I wasn't a big fan of practicing, but anyway, it was good. It was great to learn the theory.
And who taught you the chording?
And the chording, well, you know who first showed me the basics of it was Jackie Dunn. Like, she showed me how you do an octave on the left and a chord on the right. And I think she recorded a couple of tunes on a tape for me, so I kind of showed me the chords, and I played along with that. And then I was just listening to tapes and that.
Nothing like the old tapes.
The old tapes. Play, rewind.
Yes.
Well, Jackie Dunn, of course, being from MacInnis, fiddler, piano player, great step dancer as well, and you know, and a music teacher. And she has just a great feel for the whole keyboard. And but you know, it's interesting how many piano players did start off that way with other lessons, getting the basics, and then moving on. But that's an interesting part about Sister Kelly I didn't realize. And no doubt the sisters here at Bain Vabu, which was the old convent here in Vabu, St. Joseph's Convent Renewal Center, they had a large impact, and as did the church, with many of our festivals, our concerts, and many of the priests did as well, of course, fiddlers and otherwise. And so it's quite interesting. What about the fiddle?
The fiddle?
Who taught you the fiddle?
Take a guess.
Any fiddlers at your house? So your dad, Buddy?
Yeah, mostly I listened, though. He taught me, I'm sure he taught me the first couple of tunes for sure, and then he'd help me out when I couldn't figure something out, or I couldn't remember exactly how a tune would go. He'd play it.
Did he teach you by ear or by note?
Yeah, well, pretty much by ear. By ear? I can read, like I can read for piano, so yeah, I can read for the fiddle. I'm not very good at it.
So his focus was on getting that ear going, ear training.
Well, he was pretty much a stickler for learning by note too. Yeah. He wanted the tunes. Oh yes, he thought you should play them as correctly as possible.
I know he and my mom, well, my mom used to say that about him, but she was always like, if I played a note wrong, be like, change that note. So it made me super paranoid about it. In a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Well, we'll get back to the tunes, and then I'm going to ask Andrea some of the same questions. All right?
Yeah, let's
Great.
do some jigs.
All right.
EFD. Oh, we'll start off with a good buddy classic. Oh, I think the first one they call Miss Campbell's or Mrs. Campbell's. The Knights of the Knights of St. Patrick, Knights of Columbus. The Knights of St. Patrick and Swinging on Home by Joan MacDonald Bowes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the last one.
Great composer as well.
Yeah. They're all tunes I heard Buddy playing growing up. It's where his versions would be in my head. I never checked the notes though, but but he's who I hear playing them in my head.
Well, it's funny you mentioned her name, Joan Bowes. There's a great book out by Chris MacDonald about courting.
I bought that book. I didn't get to read it yet.
I'm almost through it.
Are you?
25 to 30 pages left.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everyone, a little shout out for the book, by Chris MacDonald, and it's about Cape Breton piano players and the courting, and it talks to different piano players. People like your mom, Betty Lou, and Joey Beaton, our Uncle Joey, and others, talks about it. It's a unique book. It's great, and I can't remember the name of it now. I'm trying to think of.
Oh, I know it. Oh shoot!
I'll try to remember it before we before the Ceilidh's over. But I encourage you to watch for it.
Yeah.
Also, so Andrea, let's go to where you learned how fiddle first or piano.
Oh, fiddle.
Fiddle first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. So I did take piano lessons for a few weeks, I think like a few weeks session, but I had no interest in reading music and I was like too hyper for that. So, and fiddle, my dad taught me a little, but you know how it is with your own kids. Sometimes they don't want to listen to you. I'm teaching my kids fiddle right now and it's easier to teach the other kids. But anyway, sorry, Vigo and Angus, but oh, we're getting through it. But anyway, so he taught me like Twinkle Twinkle and the High Road to Lytton, the first two parts, and I think that's when we gave up. And then they sent me to Stephanie Wills when I was about 13, and I took, I'd say, a year or two from her, and then I kind of lost interest in fiddle for a few years, and I came back to it when I moved to PEI. But I had the basics, and then I joined the Queens County Fiddlers over there, and they're kind of similar to the Cape Breton Fiddlers Association. Nice. And I met a bunch of people interested in fiddle and kind of found my wings there a bit, and then came home and went to the Red Shoe and found all my other fiddle playing buddies, and that's how it all began.
When you were in PEI, I guess that would have been, although you lived in a house with lots of music, was there much music at Ceilidh? You went to Ceilidh?
No, there wasn't.
Wouldn't have been a lot.
And I remember actually even before Ceilidh at Senior Elementary, which is no longer there, but I remember someone saying, her parents play the fiddle, and I was like, no, they don't. I was so like, oh, and now I'm like, woo, go mom and dad, you know?
Yeah.
But then I remember just like being like, don't tell, because I thought it was so, well, because someone probably teased me about it at one point, and that was it. I didn't want anyone to know, and here they were on the radio like every night, so it was like I got caught.
They were busy playing in those days, and
they were.
I remember seeing that they'd take you to dances and such in Glencoe and other places. Yeah,
well, and I mean, I had all these tunes in my head, and I remember like when the Rankins tape came out when I was in, I think, grade 10, and I remember like hearing a fiddle medley and saying, oh, John Morris must have written that tune, and knowing, like,
you knew.
I could tell music, I got it, but I didn't want to play it in front of anyone because I want it to be as good as all my relatives, and you can't do that without practicing, so I didn't want to play in front of anyone, therefore I never practiced, and that was a vicious little cycle. But
what about step dancing? Who taught you?
Oh, step dancing, I can't remember where I got my first lessons. I think like my parents showed me some steps at home, and then going to the dances, dancing with like Raymond Beaton and AJ Beaton and some of my uncles and stuff, and but also Mary Janet's kids and Mary Janet were a big influence on me, and I took some workshops from the Warner sisters too. Awesome. Kelly and Melody and Mary Janet were like my three. They were my big influences when I was like under 10, right? And then of course you keep going to Kaylee's and concerts and seeing people on stage and saying, oh, I like that step, and then asking them to show it to you or just learning it off the video.
You're picking it up.
I remember in my 20s at a party, we were watching old videos at Wales McLean's actually, and I remember seeing a step Harvey Beaton was doing. And a couple of us were there, and we were like, let's do Harvey's step, and like just like still one of Mary Janet's kids, Jen MacInnis, and I were step dancing.
Probably the best way to pick up steps. Like
just
what
like.
What about you, Mary? Who taught you step dancing?
I know I don't know in what order. I know I took lessons from Mary Janet one time.
We all did.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. And I remember I took lessons from Donna McClellan. You know, Sean McIntyre from Juddick.
Yes.
She had them in Juddick at one time, or maybe a couple of times. I can't remember. Yeah, and pecking at them, like you say.
Yeah.
Great. Do you have a favorite tune?
I'm pretty partial to Hull's Reel.
Hull's Reel.
Yeah,
great reel.
Yeah.
Dandy reel. There's something special about the sound, the tone, composed by Jim Morris Rankin. And I love E major. So. Yeah, and if you can hear it when I'm sure as a fiddler when you play it at a dance or something or a pub, the energy in the room seems to lift up. So. Do you have a favorite tune? I don't read offhand. But honestly, I love Hall's Reel.
Yeah.
I'm one of those as well. I really do love it.
I'm one of those when someone plays a tune I like, I'll say, oh, that's my favorite Strathspey, and then another one will go, oh wait, maybe that's my favorite Strathspey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love all the Strathspeys, never mind.
Well, I do want to mention as well, with respect to the college, we do this every week. Normally we have an audience, but for January and February we're doing some online Ceilidhs. I do encourage you as a listening audience and as a watching audience to please reach out to support the college in our endeavors to have these Ceilidhs and also to have our youth programs. That's how we can do the lessons in the summer for our youth online throughout the year, the different programs, courses that we have. So I would ask you to consider that, and it's very much appreciated, and it's one of the ways we can keep this going for you. And a little reach out to our sponsors as well to thank them at the same time. So we'll get back to another selection of tunes.
Sure.
And what more to say?
We'll do E and end with Hall's Reel.
Excellent.
How about that? sing two endings there.
It's hard to beat that tune.
Oh, I love that tune.
Well, it's funny, where we're sitting, if you look out the window, you can actually almost see where Jim Morris Rankin
That's true, yeah.
grew up.
Yeah.
On Back Street of Mabou. You'll see Highland Street, but it's Back Street locally, and as where where my mom was for the first 4 years of her life on Back Street as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the Beatons were, and then they moved and built the house behind the Red Shoe where Andrea lives today.
That's true.
Behind the Red Shoe, and when you're driving through Mabou, I encourage you to stop at Beaton's Delight, and you're going to get some great coffee. Andrea's Beaton's Delight started a few years ago. She has great coffee, ice cream, and many other things. So you're in for a real treat.
Don't come
this
till
year.
May though, because it's not even there yet.
Yeah, it's not there, not until May.
Yeah.
But basically from May to the end of October into
Yeah.
November, kind of thing, and sometimes a little bit on the road as well with. I think you called it, was it your
The horse
first
trailer.
figure, second figure, and
Yes.
third figure?
So second figure is the promenader. It goes
It
goes
around.
places.
It goes places.
And the third figure is dessert. It's the ice cream.
It's the ice cream. It's perfect. So please stop in. And so we're very fortunate. Andrea, of course, went from Port Hawkesbury to Long Point to
Judic.
Judic, yes, Judic.
Yeah.
You lived in Judic. And then you were gone off to Quebec for a few years.
Yeah, I think it was 8 years.
8 years, and
Yeah.
then back home, and
Back to Mabou.
we stole you into Mabou.
Yeah.
And of course, Mary Elizabeth went from downtown Judic
To
after St.
downtown
Bex,
West Mabou.
and back to Judic, and then to West Mabou, to New Ferry Road,
Yep.
Oh, yes.
and which is a beautiful spot as well, and married to Trevor, and five girls, and some musicians in there as well. Yeah, Sarah's a great singer, plays the piano,
Yep.
and step
can play a
dances,
few
of
tunes
course.
on the
Does she
fiddle.
do it? Yeah, she plays the
I
fiddle.
even haven't heard her that much, but
Excellent.
she's learned some tunes.
Very good. Well, no doubt.
She's
And
probably having the same, like, I want to sound like all the people, so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
she's not playing in front of you.
and of course, Elizabeth does a lot of playing. She's a great.
She was. She's
great
got
fiddler.
tendonitis in both her arms.
Her arms are bothering her right now. She'll
Since
get back
months.
at
Oh,
it.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes. And perhaps any of the other girls expressing, do you think, an interest in some of the music?
I tried to get them into the piano a little bit, just to give them a base,
Yeah.
and they're not jumping on it right yet.
Not yet.
Maybe
Well, they're still young. Some of them are still young.
Yeah.
The youngest is 6, so
Yeah,
there's still lots of time for
Teresa's-
her, for Teresa.
Yeah.
And then so we have musicians in the house there. We have musicians maybe down the road, and Andrea's house too,
And yours
starting on the
too.
fiddle. Angus and Vio, and then in my house I have Sadie's taking piano. Well, she took some piano, and Cassie's taking piano now.
Yeah.
And
Angus
and
Finley's in
Angus
my
Finley
class.
has started fiddle last week.
Yeah.
He did a little bit at the Gaelic College for a week one time.
Okay.
I started getting just starting a feel for it, and I'll probably do like Kenan did for you,
Yeah.
help out a little bit. But he started fiddle lessons with Andrea last week, so we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, I'm
And
excited too.
yeah, it's exciting. I do want, speaking of families and step dancers and influence in the music of Cape Breton Island, a real tradition bearer and a great friend of the Gaelic College passed away this week, and that would be Jean McNeil, the mom of the Bear McNeils. And we just want to, as a college and as an institution and as individuals, express our sympathies and prayers to all of the McNeils and the Mackenzie family as well, the extended family, the children, Seamus, Stuart, Kyle, Lucy, Ryan, and Boyd, and to all the grandchildren as well, many of them musicians. And she had a profound influence on them in many, many ways. And certainly at the college, I had the pleasure to teach with her in the 1990s, a number of years. And she was very organized when she would teach, and wanted to make sure that the students did that step and did it correctly. And more than that, she wanted them to listen to the music and understand the music. And so she brought a lot more into the teaching experience, exactly what you'd want to see for for a young person to learn, and adults as well. So she was highly respected by all of us, and we just want to extend our sympathies and prayers to the family. So with that, we're going to jump in the middle of this Ceilidh. We thought it was appropriate that we would share a clip of Jean McNeil doing some steps, and then we'll come back to some tunes. So this is Jean McNeil and providing some great steps. Okay, we're back, and we're gonna get some more tunes from Andrea Beaton and Mary Elizabeth MacInnis.
Or Jake's, I think.
back again. Again, great stuff. And you started off with the Don Langus tune, I believe.
Jigs,
Two Don Langus jigs.
Elizabeth's jig and
Andrea
and
Allison's
Allison's
jig.
jig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great tunes, composed by your grandfather.
Your grandfather,
my grandfather too. And I would imagine now Andrea and Allison's jig would have probably been one of the later tunes, maybe one of the last tunes he composed.
maybe because it would have been because Allison was, I think, just a year when Grandpa died.
It would have been in the last year.
In the last year of his life.
Yeah. So that's it may have been either the last or one of the last for sure. Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and of course Elizabeth, the first one, Elizabeth's jig in G is made for his wife, our grandmother, Elizabeth McCacken, Beaton, and who wasn't McCacken, and also came from some musicians in her family as well. I remember playing with her brother Danny.
Oh yeah.
I used to play with him sometimes in church. He'd go down on the organ and play at funerals and different things like that with me.
Interesting.
So it was quite I was quite happy to have had that experience with him.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end of our ceilidh. These ceilidhs are not a full-length ceilidh, hour and a half online, but we're trying to make sure that we stay within a reasonable amount of time as well. I do want to mention that next week as well, we're going to have Howie McDonald joining us and Beverly McLean on piano. And Howie, we're going to go down for a visit down to Howie's house. So next week, we encourage you to tune in, and you're going to get some great music as well from Howie McDonald and Beverly. And perhaps we'll take the opportunity to chat a little bit with Howie as well and find out some stories. And there's always some great stories with Howie. And I guess if you had one favorite place to play at, do you have a favorite place that you like to play at, Mary?
I have the fondest memories, I think, of Glencoe, playing at the dances in Glencoe. Yeah.
Well, as soon as you said that, I was wondering if you were going to say that, because when I think of you and your dad playing, I can't help but think of Glencoe and seeing you up there. And you were probably 15 or 16.
Maybe.
Starting with him at those dances?
I don't know how he put up with me.
You were pretty young.
It was bad anyway.
No, it was great. And I remember seeing you, probably the first time I saw you play with him, that I can recall, was at the Normoy Inn. Okay. Which would have been around the same time. Right. There and then Glencoe at the dances. But I recall one night seeing you there. So you were probably 15, I'm guessing. Something like that.
I was around that when I started.
When you started playing in the concerts?
Yeah, It wasn't much practicing going on. I learned on the fly.
Like us all.
That's how we all learn, isn't it? Yeah.
So Andrea, what about you? Favorite place to play?
I think I have similar fond memories with Brook Village. Playing in Brook Village. I got to play, I was supposed to do a couple there last summer, but I was sick one week, so I did one dance there last summer. And I just remember having that, that feeling of, the whole hall was dancing, and
it's electric.
Heck of a rowdy crew there. I love it. Rowdy in a dance way, in a good way.
So, in the summertime, for those that are from away, on Monday nights from 9 to 12:30, and they changed the time last summer, and it used to be 9:30 to 1, now it's 9 to 12:30. On Monday nights, July and August, and they usually have one in October as well. Sometimes they have some in the fall. But at Brook Village, which is located on Route 252 between Mabou and Waikagama, about 10 minutes outside of Waikagama, you're in for one of the best dances that you will find in Cape Breton Island. Yeah. And every week there's a great crowd. It is an adult dance, 19 and over. Yeah. But just a great hall, great people there. And you're in for a treat if you go there. But take advantage as well. Glencoe on Thursday nights. Yeah. Friday nights, oftentimes, sometimes in Southwest Marguerite.
And the Red Shoe has music on.
The Red Shoe has some music on Friday nights. Saturday night, West Mabou dances, of course. You know, usually a good chunk of the year you're going to get music there. Sunday afternoon at the Celtic Music Center, you could go, that's from 2 to 5, or the Red Shoe from 4 to 7, or perhaps at the Dorman Tavern, the pub, Saturday afternoons, year round.
Sometimes Tuesday nights too.
Sometimes Tuesday nights.
During the summer.
Tuesdays in the summer,
Yeah, that's right. And other sessions that they do have in different places.
Portionagah in Drogheda.
Portionagah on Thursday nights.
In the winter.
In Drogheda,
For the
Gaelic and Historical. Thursday, and many other places as well. I know at the Cedars Club in Sydney, Cape Breton University, the pipe band was had a dance a couple of weeks ago. I heard it was tremendous.
And
I hear they're going to be putting some more on.
Yeah,
as
February
fundraisers.
11th.
We encourage you to support them, and because they play an important role. And we depend on them at the college. Our duty pipers are usually, are part of the band. The last number we've had, Cameron McNeil recently, and his brother Aiden before that, both members of that North American champion bands. And so we're going to end with one more blast of tunes. And we thank you for being with us. Thank Andrea and Mary Elizabeth as well. Again, the college gratefully accepts donations, and we encourage you to take a look at that. If you'd ever like to sponsor a ceilidh, please contact us. We'd be happy with that as well. And so not necessarily just a donation, but to sponsor a whole ceilidh. Finally, a little shout out to to Ryan for videoing this, who also is the manager, and you'll hear him on air for cbfm.ca. And so if you go to cbfm.ca, you'll hear some great Cape Breton music. Please like our Facebook page and become a follower as well, or go on to Ceilidh on channel 536 on Bell, and you can hear it there if you don't have a computer. So you can hear it in that way as well. Take a look at our website. We have a lot of courses coming up, March break in particular for youth. That's coming up next month. We have different programs, weekends, Gaelic weekends. And of course, here at Bain Vabu, we have a first year university program starting in September 2023. The courses are done through the medium of English. You get a first year arts program essentially in conjunction with Cape Breton University and College na Gaelic. And I really encourage you to take a look at that, a unique experience for first year students. And then you can head off to either CBU or one of the other recognized universities beyond that. So again, thanks, and we'll end with a few tunes. Thanks a lot, Andrea.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
I'll start in B minor. Head to B at some point.
Beaton, a brand new university learning experience in the heart of Mabu. The Gaelic Foundations program is a first-year university learning experience in partnership with Cape Breton University. Immerse yourself in community, delve into a rich and living culture, and learn about the world through the viewpoint of the Gaels as you begin your next learning journey. Classes begin September of 2023. Beaton, we welcome you to an educational experience like no other. For more information, click your way over to benvabu.ca.
So these are the bagpipes, and to be more specific, the Great Highland bagpipes. There's a lot of different types of pipes in the world. Almost every region in Europe developed its own take on bagpipes. So these were what was developed in Scotland over centuries. One of the more recognizable pipes out there just because of their influence in the British Army. This is what you'll have seen in parades or at funerals and weddings. They're quite popular. And I'll give you a little overview of how they work. Basically, you have a blowpipe that you blow into with a one-way valve at the end. So you fill up this bag as a reservoir, and then you force the air out with this elbow. And your whole aim is to keep the stream as constant as possible and the pressure as constant as possible. When you're forcing the air out, you force them out through the other pipes. These pipes that are on my shoulder are called drones, and they just produce that one long monotone note that you hear throughout the melody. And the longer one is a bass drone, so that'll produce a B flat in this case for this instrument. And then the tenor drones will produce the same note, but an octave higher. Then the melody comes out of this pipe called the chanter. And there's a number of holes on there. And inside the casing here is what we call the reed. And it's a double-bladed cane reed, much the same as an oboe reed. It has two tongues of cane. As the air passes through it, it vibrates and produces sound. And like any other woodwind, there's a bunch of holes on it, and the longer the sound has to travel down the pipe, the deeper the note, the lower the note is. So there's 9 notes in the pipe scale, so it's a little limited in that sense, and it's also limited as an instrument because there's only one volume, fairly loud, and you can't get louder, you can't get quieter, it's just one volume all the time. So to introduce dynamics into the music, we use a lot of gracing and ornamentation, and also to separate notes because you can't stop the melody. Once you're started, it's always playing melody. So to separate the notes, you use a lot of those gracings, and that gracing and ornamentation is something that really identifies pipe music. And that ornamentation, you still see it in the fiddle music and the music we know around here and in Scotland. It's informed a lot of the stylings that we use and the ornamentation that we use on the fiddle or any instrument.
I'm Roz.
And I'm Jen of Super Duper Soup. It began about 5 years ago. It started when one friend asked me to make a bowl of soup. We were both laid off. And the next week, more friends asked for more soup, and the next thing we know,
bing bang boom, we're working out of the Boys and Girls Club kitchen once a week doing deliveries. Did a trade show and it just went crazy from there. So we were like, we need to find our own space.
We're a small business, and when you start a small business, not really ever having been in this industry before, we had no idea what was involved.
You don't know what you don't know. Dealing with the East Coast Credit Union, it's just been so easy.
They're more than a bank. It's not every bank that knows your name. It's not every bank that comes and helps and brings you products that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah, they know more than just our business. They know us and they know what we need. They're just a part of our team and they're there to help you. They want you to succeed.
They have a small business program and they get what small business is in Nova Scotia. Community means everything.
We feel very supported by not only the East Coast Credit Union, but our community in downtown Dartmouth as well. Building the relationship with East Coast Credit Union, I just know that going forward, they'll still be there for us. They'll continue to support us, not only as customers, but bringing us new products that will help us grow and continue to survive.